Ohio State has had some really good wide receivers in college football over the last few years, with guys like Michael Thomas coming to mind, and more recently, Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson are the two studs of the team, and they're the guys who are expected to go in the first round of the 2022 NFL Draft. Brian Hartline is doing wonders in terms of wide receiver recruiting, as they have guys like Emeka Egbuka, Julian Fleming, Jackson Smith-Njigba, and most recently, one of the biggest buzzwords in college football recruiting, Marvin Harrison Jr. Everyone knows his dad, the legendary wide receiver for the Indianapolis Colts, but his son is an extremely talented player who's going to Ohio State this fall and most recently turned heads at the 2021 spring game. So yeah, today we're going to talk about Marvin Harrison Jr., why he has an extremely high ceiling, and just how good this guy can be in Columbus for the next few years. But before we get into it, if you love college football, be sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that like button if you want to support what I'm doing here on YouTube, suggest another topic I could do next, and turn on post notifications so you never miss when I upload. Now let's get started and talk about Marvin Harrison Jr. Marvin Harrison Jr. was born and raised around the Philadelphia area and played high school football for St. Joseph's Prep, the same as their coveted signal caller Kyle McCord. Kyle McCord was a 5-star recruit and he's a quarterback in the class of 2021, as he has decided to go to Ohio State as well, so it'll be very exciting to see if McCord and Harrison can kind of rekindle their high school connection. Harrison's dad is Marvin Harrison, obviously, a name that we're all most likely quite familiar with. He was an elite NFL receiver for Peyton Manning and the Indianapolis Colts and was named to the NFL Hall of Fame as a result of all his efforts. Harrison Jr. obviously has some big shoes to fill, and he is more than prepared for the challenge of making his own name for himself. Harrison was an absolute beast playing for St. Joseph's Prep, as he caught 37 touchdowns during his decorated high school career there. Even with these numbers and a 4-star evaluation, his offensive coordinator did not think he was rated high enough compared to the other talented guys. When asked about Harrison Jr.'s evaluation, his offensive coordinator had this to say, quote, "Obviously, he got his share of fanfare and publicity and things like that with his name and everything, but I think on a national scope, I didn't think he got the love that he probably should have. I thought he was the best wide receiver in the country. He's extremely polished, he's an absolute technician, he's just an absolute physical specimen too, and the best part about it, he's just getting started." These are high praises, especially coming from a coordinator at one of the top high school programs in the region. Harrison Jr. also has that it factor as he makes clutch grabs when his team needs him most. A testament to that is when Harrison Jr. caught a touchdown on 4th and 10 in the state semifinals, and this would force the game into overtime, and stuff like that is just incredible because St. Joseph's would actually go on to win. To further add to that spectacle, he had a toe tap end zone catch very similar to his future teammate Jackson Smith-Njigba's one that came against the Nebraska Cornhuskers during the 2020 college football season. His head coach had this to say regarding Harrison Jr.'s play in big moments. Quote, "The biggest plays he made in his career were in the biggest moments and when we needed them the most," said St. Joseph's Prep wide receivers coach Ryan Morrison. There are countless examples of him making big-time plays in big moments, and super dependable and a guy that is never going to stop studying, and where he's at will never be good enough until he hangs it up, until he's done playing. His coaches asked Marvin about his favorite routes to run, fully expecting him to answer to be the fade, which would allow him to utilize his size. Instead, Harrison's response was not what you'd think, as he had this to say regarding that exchange. Quote, "I laugh all the time because when I was getting to know Marvin, I asked him, what's your favorite route to run? Most guys who are that big and explosive are going to say vertical or a fade or something like that, and he listed every route except the vertical or fade. I was like, quote, you don't like running behind people on fades? He was like, no, that's boring. I want to make somebody miss. He wants to be a technician." It seems on paper that Harrison Jr. has the same drive and passion that made his father so great, and I think this personal story from his coaches is a phenomenal testament to his work ethic and desire to be the best player on the field and the best person he can be. Harrison Jr. makes an impact on the entire field when he is playing, and blocking is no exception to that. Ryan Day and the Ohio State staff very much prize their wide receivers on blocking. Sometimes guys don't see the field if they aren't good at it. And thankfully for Harrison Jr., he's one of the fiercest blockers on the field at all times, as he throws down opponents with a nasty mean streak. His coaches had this to say regarding his blocking. Quote, "He was trying to bury people and put them in the ground, and I think that's pretty special for a guy as talented of a wide receiver he is." So who does Harrison model his game after? Well, he listed Terry McLaurin and Michael Thomas as his two favorite NFL wide receivers to watch, and this makes his decision to go to Ohio State less surprising, and those are the guys that are his role models, and obviously those players are very talented. As talented of a player as he is, Harrison Jr. is an even better character off the field. His coaches continue to sing high praises for him in this regard, with them saying, quote, "He is an absolute gentleman. He's one of the best young men you'll ever come across. He's the kind of kid you would encourage your daughter to marry. That's how good of a kid he is. He's an incredible teammate. He's an all-the-time guy. He's ultra competitive, and he's one of those young men who never takes a rep off." Anytime he doesn't win a rep, if it's a competition period or if it's a non-competitive period, he does not accept the loss. He will jump right back in front of the line and get it right. Apparently, Harrison Jr. applies this hardworking philosophy everywhere in life, and his coaches and peers alike have taken notice. His work ethic is a big reason for his success, and coaches at Ohio State have been chomping at the bit to get him into their locker room. Harrison's talent is undeniable, but when coupled with work ethic, a great coach in Brian Hartline, and all the talent there, we could have a really interesting and intriguing prospect, and a player who could be absolutely elite down the road. He had some big moments in the spring game last weekend, and many people started talking about him as a potential player to play right away. Obviously, Ohio State is one of the most talented wide receiver rooms in the country. Actually, I'm going to back that up and say they are the most talented wide receiver room in the country, as they have Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, Jamison Williams, Jackson Smith-Njigba, Julian Fleming, Emeka Egbuka, G. Scott Jr., and of course, Marvin Harrison Jr. He'll get a chance to play probably right away, and if Kyle McCord somehow wins the job, this could help his career become even better. So yeah, he's obviously talented, but let's talk about what scouts have to say. According to 24/7 Sports, first of all, he is a 4-star recruit, the number 14 wide receiver, and the 97th best player in the class of 2021. In terms of his actual scouting report, scouts say he's a day 3 projection for the 2025 NFL Draft, and his greatest comparison is Kenny Galladay, who went to Northern Illinois and has played most of his career for the Lions. So here's what they have to say. Quote, he has great frame with length, but needs to add strength. He has big and strong hands as well. He can eventually get to 220 pounds, and that would be spectacular for his development. He's the son of NFL Hall of Famer Marvin Harrison. He's a great route tactician, and he gets out of breaks quickly and is precise in his route depths. He has a good release and a technical at the top of routes. He has separation skills, uses size and length well to shield defenders, is a red zone threat, catches every routine ball and tracks it well. He's so smooth he makes it look effortless. He needs to add strength to handle jams, but he does need to add strength to handle jams and become a more effective blocker. He's a high-level player for a top 15 college program and should develop into a 2nd, 3rd, or 4th round NFL draft pick. In 2019, he had 47 catches for 1,000 yards and 15 touchdowns, and we're just getting started with how good he's going to be. So yeah, my Ohio State videos have done terrific on this channel as of late, and I actually made a video about the 2021 wide receiver room for the Buckeyes, so be sure to check that one out. But Marvin Harrison Jr. is a buzzword right now, and everyone's talking about the kid, and I'm really excited to watch him develop over the next few years, and I still remember when he committed to the Buckeyes last year. He's going to be an absolutely good player, and if he can live up to his dad, we're in for an absolute treat. But what do you guys think? If you're an Ohio State fan, let me know what you think of Marvin Harrison Jr. and how much you think he will play and how his career will turn out. Also, be sure to let me know your favorite wide receiver in this 2021 room and how the Buckeyes will do during this season. Let me know another hyped up recruit or player I could take a look at next. Subscribe if you love college football content. Hit that like button if you want to support what I'm doing here on YouTube, and check out all my other videos on the end screen, including my video about the 2021 Ohio State wide receiver room. I hope to see you guys again soon, but until next time, peace.